Crucial. Manage inflation. Adjust interest rates. Stimulate economic activity. Quantitative easing. Financial planning. Central banks play a crucial role in managing inflation by adjusting interest rates and controlling the money supply. When inflation is high, central banks may increase interest rates to make borrowing more expensive, reducing consumer spending and business investment. On the other hand, during periods of deflation or low inflation, central banks may lower interest rates to stimulate economic activity. Central banks also use other tools, such as open market operations and quantitative easing, to influence the money supply. By controlling inflation, central banks aim to promote price stability, which is essential for long-term economic growth and financial planning. Stagflation. Unemployment. Simultaneously. Percent. Policymakers. Combat. Exacerbate. Measures. Output. The most notable example. Stagflation is an economic condition where high inflation and high unemployment occur simultaneously. This presents a challenging situation for policymakers, as the usual tools to combat inflation, raising interest rates, can exacerbate unemployment, and measures to reduce unemployment, lowering interest rates, can increase inflation. Stagflation is often caused by a supply shock, such as an increase in oil prices, which raises production costs and reduces economic output. The most notable example of stagflation occurred during the 1970s, when oil price increases caused widespread economic difficulties in many countries. Deflationary spiral. Drive down. A cycle of. Attract consumers. Lay off. Decline. Delay. In anticipation of. Exacerbate. Reduction in demand. Recession. Respond to. Stimulus measures. Quantitative easing. A deflationary spiral occurs when a decrease in prices leads to reduced economic activity, further driving down prices and creating a cycle of economic decline. As businesses lower prices to attract consumers, they may cut costs by reducing wages or laying off workers, which leads to a decline in overall demand. Consumers may delay purchases in anticipation of lower prices, exacerbating the slowdown. This reduction in demand can lead to a deeper recession. Policymakers often respond to deflationary spirals with stimulus measures, such as lowering interest rates, increasing government spending, or even implementing quantitative easing to encourage spending and investment. Alter. Exchange rate. Relative to. Trading partners. Foreign markets. Exports. Competitive. Abroad. Imports. Domestic currency. Weaken. Deterioration. Become more reliant on. Inflation can affect a country's international trade by altering its exchange rate. If a country experiences high inflation relative to its trading partners, its goods and services become more expensive in foreign markets, potentially leading to a reduction in exports. On the other hand, a country with lower inflation will see its goods become more competitive abroad. Inflation can also affect the cost of imports, as prices for foreign goods rise when the domestic currency weakens. A country experiencing inflation may see a deterioration in its trade balance if it becomes more reliant on imports while exports decline. Monetary policy. Adjust. Stable. Conducive to. Committee to. Expectation. Predictable. Inflation targeting is a monetary policy strategy where central banks set a specific inflation rate as a goal and adjust their policies to achieve it. This target is usually set at a low, stable rate, often around 2% per year, which is seen as conducive to economic growth. By committing to an inflation target, central banks aim to provide a clear framework for businesses and consumers, reducing uncertainty and helping to manage expectations. When inflation is stable, it allows for more predictable long-term planning. However, inflation targeting can sometimes face challenges, especially during economic shocks or periods of unexpected inflation.